So let's look at this problem. Remember, the idea is to have 0 here. So we need to have 0 there. So now let's make sure that we get rid of that number. But before, remember, the rules of solving anything or everything, you need to get rid of the brackets first before you can solve, or before you can be able to solve. So now, remember that property, the distributive property, that basically means the outer will multiply the inner. So now we're going to make use of that property. So it's just going to be 5x times x. That gives us 5x squared. And then 5x times negative 2. That gives us negative 10x equal 2. Now we're doing things step by step. We have removed the brackets. So now the second thing that we have to do, remember, 0, that side, we need 0. So 5x squared minus 10x minus 2 equal 0. So now, remember I told you, if you have 0 on that side, you are on the right path. The solving is not difficult. So now, look at the standard form. Which form do we have here? We have the standard form, which is basically your type 3. So having a trinomial 3 terms, so it's term 1, 2, 3. Remember, the terms are separated by plus or minus. So now you maintain the standard form. Is the standard form maintained? Yes, because we have 0 that side. Identify A, B, C. So now, by looking at this, what is your A? It's 5. What is your B? It's negative 10. And then what is your C? That's negative 2. So now you substitute these values into the quadratic formula, which is x equal minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So if you substitute those values into the quadratic formula, you'll get the values of x, and then you can just separate the values. You can separate, remember to separate plus or minus. So what I will suggest you do here, it's better if you write the formula like x is equals to minus b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, or x equal minus b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So these are the two values of x. Remember that plus or minus, you can separate it by using the plus first and then using the minus, and then you will get the values of x. So now in the comment section, you can put those values of x. I will just go through them and check if they are correct or not. So that's your task. You'll put them in the comment section. So now let's look at D. What can we say about D? What is nice about D? The most nicest thing about D is that they did our job. A job that was supposed to be done by us, they did it. They put 0 there. You need to be happy when you get such questions whereby you have 0 on the other side, because you will just use the product rule. So are you aware they are multiplying things? If they are multiplying things, you use product rule. Take each part, equate it to 0. Take the second part, equate it to 0. So now, are you aware this is more like A, B? So that's more like A times B is 0. So we take each part, equate it to 0. So the first part being 2x plus 1 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. And then what do we do with the number? Get rid of it. 2x equal negative 1. This side, x equal 2. That 2 is negative. If it go to that side, become positive, or you can use the additive inverse, add 2 on both sides. or use transposing. So now the last part here, divide by 2, divide by 2. Remember, we don't want 2x, we want x. So you need to divide by 2. So x will be negative 1 over 2. They don't cancel, it's just that the 2 divided by 2 will be 1 and that 1 will be there. Okay, so now D, let's go, we're going to E. So now this is E. How do you solve this? What in the world is this thing? Remember, this is a surd. And what did we say about the surd? We said whenever you have a surd, the first thing that you would want to do is to isolate the surd. It needs to be alone. So now it's just a matter of logic or thinking. You see that the surd is negative. Do you see that it's better you transpose the surd so that to avoid dealing with negatives? So now 2x equal 32 minus 8x. So now the question we ask ourselves is the surd isolated? Absolutely. So if the surd is isolated, you must be happy. That's the first thing that we will do. And then you check. The second point is to square both sides. So now we'll go and square both sides. So we will square and then we will square. So now what is 2x squared? That is 4x squared. Nice. And then remember, the square root and the surd cancel. The squared and the surd cancels. We'll be left with 32 minus 8x. But it seems like we have a problem here. Remember, we need 0 or else we're going to die. We need 0. So to get 0, we take this thing to the other side. So it's going to be plus 8x minus 32 equal 0. Oh, there's our partner. We've been looking for you. There's our partner. This is important. We found our partner. So now there's something that you can do here. You can go straight to the quadratic formula. You can identify your A. This is ax squared plus bx plus c. Your A will be 4. Your B will be 8. And your C will be negative 32. And then you can use x equal minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Or what you can do is, the equation seems scary, but you can reduce it. Are you aware that 4 is a factor in all these terms? So we can just divide everything by 4. So 4x squared divided by 4 plus 8x divided by 4 minus 32 divided by 4. But my advice is it's better to go straight to quadratic rather than going through all this. 8 divided by 2, I think that's 4. You see, I'm using my calculator. I don't want to use my head because I know mental calculators often get outdated and they can't be updated. That's the problem. So I prefer using the calculator. So 32 divided by 4, that's 8. And then when it's here, you can use the quadratic or you can use the factorization technique. So it will be x factors of 8. Factors of 8. Oh, I made a mistake. 8 divided by 4 is not 4. Hey, which calculator did I use now? I used the mental one instead of using the manual one. 8 divided by 4, that's 2. Okay, so now two numbers that when you multiply, they give you 4, they give you 8. It's 4 times 2. When you add them or subtract them, will they give you 2? Yes, they will. So your factors are 4 and 2. Which one is big between 4 and 2? It's 4. It will take the sign of the middle sign. So this is going to be plus minus. So now, since we have our friend here, we love him so much, we can take each bracket and equate it to 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. Transposing 4, x will be negative 4, or x will be 2. Our friend, guys, make sure that we always have our friend. So now, that was my piece on equations and inequalities. So equations can be tricky. Like let's say you have, let's put f here. So this one will be just a mental equation. Let's say you have x to the power of 3 over 2 equal 8. So now, what would you do if you had such equation? To get x is not difficult or something that is impossible. To get x here, you can just raise everything to the exponent of to the reciprocal of the exponent of x. So now, what is the reciprocal of that number, or the inverse of this number? The inverse of that number is just 2 over 3. And then remember, the law said what you do on the left, you do on the right. So we will have 8 raised to the exponent, to the same exponent. And then 2 cancel 2, 3 cancel 3. Then x will be 8 to the exponent of 2 over 3. And then the answer will be 4. So this is one of the mental equation that I wanted to add, wanted you to be familiar with, to understand. Like, let's say g, and then let's say you have x to the exponent of 2 over 9 equal 81. So how would you approach this one? You multiply by the reciprocal. That's the quickest way that I prefer. So 9 over 2, what you do on the left, you do on the right. So 9 cancel 9, 3, 2 cancel 2. They do not cancel, they just reciprocal, they give us 1. So we have 81 raised to the power of 9 over 2. So that will be your answer. It was such a big answer, but yeah, that will be your answer. So I just wanted to show you different questions that can come your way under equations and inequality.